You should have a paper on the back of a 5-9. There should be something called sleeper cards. On the back of 5-9 should be something called sleeper cards. Now, what is a sleeper card?
Was that not expected? 7 with that.
It's a card that does not look like the rest of them, huh? So there's a couple of advantages to presenting a sleeper card. If I lead an 8, what assumptions do you make about my hand? Sure. Any face card would be just fine, right? Well, maybe it could be a diamond. Remember, if I could fake a flush here, I would. See, I've got a jack of diamonds there. So, but by playing this, I mislead you as to the composition of my hand. I also, even though this is a lousy hand, I actually increase my chances to peg by leading this one. You follow that? Because if you put any one of these 3 on there, I can pair it. And that happens that way a lot. This could be a 7, it could be a 6. You know, it's a card that doesn't fit with these 3. So by leading it, I mislead the dealer on the composition of my hand, and I probably score the only pegs I can score on this hand anyway. If I play it the other way, I play it from these, I show them what most of my hand is like, and the other thing they're likely to do is put a 5 on it for 15. So even if they pair it, I can't do anything about it. So this hand actually creates some pegging potential for me if I lead the sleeper. And keep in mind, the sleeper might be anything. It's one card that doesn't look like the rest of them. And anytime you can mislead the dealer on the composition of your hand, you gain a pegging advantage.
You wouldn't want to do that with an ace, though.
No, a 1 is the only one you can't do. In fact, you should ask yourself, when you keep a 1 with these 3, you should ask yourself, why the hell did I do that? It's the absolute worst card you could keep with these 3. If you had a choice of keeping a 2 or 3 or a 4, any one of them would have been better because you could have led that. But the 1 you can't lead. So you've got to keep the 1 till the next go around and hope you can dump it then. And lots of times it's amazing, you can't dump it then either. Okay, so think of that when you keep a 1, that it's really a bad card to hold with these 3. Think of maybe it ought to have been in the crib. Maybe the 1 ought to have been in the crib and you held another card with these 3. I'm not suggesting, especially if you need points, I'm not suggesting that you should hold an 8 or a 6 or a 7 with these 3. If the 1 is the only card you got that has a chance to add points to these and you need points, then keep it, but understand you can't lead it. You've got to lead one of these big ones and then hope you can dump the ace the next card you play. If you're lucky, it might make the count 14 and you can get 15 out of it, maybe. Or pair an ace, sometimes they'll make 11, you can make the count 12 by pairing with the 1. But yeah, don't lead the 1. You'll be amazed how many you give up 31 for 5 very frequently if you lead the 1 against 3 face cards. Okay, so read that little section there on sleeper cards. I mentioned the jack trap last week, and Todd brought up a very valid point. He said if you've got the queen along with the jack, aren't you really in better shape to split the jacks? And wouldn't you get more pegs over time after time, if you kept the jack-queen rather than the jack-jack? And the answer to that is true. Yes, you would get more pegs over time. But you have a chance to get 6 and a go is 7, or possibly, generally, 6 and a go is 7 with the 3 jacks. So, but it's true if you're looking at the average situation in the average game, holding a jack-queen in preference to holding a pair of jacks will get you more pegs. But if you absolutely have to have 7 pegs, try to trap the jack. It's very hard to trap the dealer's jack for the reasons I already covered. This one here, the dealer trap off the mid-card lead, we've already covered by playing the 6 on an 8 lead. On the back of that paper, it's 5-10 on the back of it. You should see that you have a low card trap. If you have 2 small cards, not one, if you have 2 small cards, often it will be to your advantage to hold them till the end of the play. And the smaller they are, the better the chance of getting them in for a good score on the end of the play. In other words, it's a lot harder to get a pair of 4s in on the end of the play than it is to get a pair of deuces. It's a lot easier to get a pair of 1s in on the end of the play than a pair of deuces. It's easier to get the 1s and 2s in than a pair of 3s. But there are some times, once in a great while, where you'll see a pair of 4s stack up on a 4 for 31 for 8, but it's not frequent. The 1s and the 2s are quite frequent. So if you got 2 of them, go for it.